make sense what the suffering was for. Cause I got out my head and I got in my bag. No time to be crying, there's money to make. I'll do what I gotta, whatever it takes. Cause I'm pushing myself to be one of the great. And my time is right.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living Podcast. And today I want to talk about a really big core aspect of your mentality that you need to understand if you're trying to accomplish any goal in your life. And this is something that I've really installed into my programs that I use to help my clients. And it's a core part of my foundation of the thought patterns and processes that I use every single day to not just have physical success in the gym, but every area of my life to have success in those areas as well. And what I'm talking about is the three versions of yourself. And this can be applied to any aspect of your life whatsoever that's relevant to you chasing any goal, whether it's financial, physical, emotional, career, like status, whatever it is. There's three versions of yourself that you need to be aware of. One is who you are today. Two, who you were in the past. And three, who you want to become. Now, when I was studying my mentorship program to really find out how I could offer a lot of value and impact to a lot of my clients on different levels, and this is something that I'm talking to straight off like the top of my head with my heart and just talking about like what I do for a living. I never really like to talk about what I actually do with my clients because it's one of those things where it's like I don't even like calling the people I work with clients because I just call them like the people, you know? But I'm just very grateful for what I do truly, and it's just sometimes it's hard to have those conversations, but because I don't want to just talk about what I do. Like I don't want to talk about it in any way other than just holding it close to my heart because it means a lot and I enjoy what I do. But these three principles of who you are today, who you were in the past, and who you want to become is all relevant to the main aspect of my program that I offer. And I have so much pride and passion and excitement in that because once I explain it to you and then you understand the three versions of yourself and what you need to juggle on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis, you'll really see that any goal in your mind, whether it's, like I say, like financial, physical, emotional, like status, whatever it is, it can 110% with an asterisk, obviously an asterisk meaning like it has to be realistic, like reality. You can't say, okay, I want to go live on Mars. But if you want to say you want to lose 20 pounds, gain X amount of muscle, you want to earn X amount of dollars a year, you want to have X amount of boundaries, X amount of whatever, family status, boundaries, like whatever those tangible things are, and internal and non-tangible emotions, those realistic things, 110% all of it can be completely true. If you understand the three versions of yourself and you're willing to commit and then stay along the path of whatever X duration is for you to get this goal. Prime example, if you're studying for your master's, you got to be willing to go past 6, 8, 10 years of schooling, you know? And that's just a duration. So can you juggle the three versions of yourself when you're getting your master's? Same with your fitness goals. Can you juggle the three versions of yourself? So let's start off with who you are. So who you are today is the most accurate representation of who you are. The present moment is all we have. So who you are today is where you got to really understand your own emotional state, and you got to understand what makes you tick. You got to understand what makes you like get excited, what pisses you off. You got to really start to really reflect on who you are as a person and what emotions you feel every day, because who you are today, those little bits of pieces throughout the course of the day that you understand of yourself really is going to what helps the other two versions of yourself become relevant in terms of knowing where you're at in your time relative to your goal. Meaning, let's say you're trying to lose 20 pounds of fat and you are 6 weeks into your journey, and let's say it's a 6-month journey. So you're just getting over the first hump of the first quarter of your journey started for your fitness goal. And you're starting to, lose a little bit of excitement, motivation, and inspiration, let's say, to stick to your meal plan, stick to counting macros, stick to the workouts that are going to get you to X that goal, because you got to do things you've never done to get to a place you've never been. So in those moments, if you know who you are in those moments, your emotional state, your physical state, like where you're at in terms of rest, like everything, your mindset, like you understand where you are in positioning relative to your goal, then you'll be able to accurately use the other two versions of yourself, which is who were you in the past. Reflect on the past when you started. Reflect on before you started. You use those emotions paired with today's emotions, and then you use the third version of yourself, which is who you want to become, and you keep that relative so you know what the point is in terms of enduring said emotions. Prime example, you stay committed to your meal plan past the 6 weeks. You stay hitting the gym past 6 weeks. You gain that muscle, you gain that image, you gain that confidence, you get everything you want because you understand the end goal So the end version of your emotions, the abundance, the positive emotions, the ones that you feel when you're happy to see yourself in the mirror, you keep those in mind, and you're like, I'm going to commit relentlessly and stay on the path, set X time to get X goal. And it's understanding who you want to become and understanding those other emotions on the negative side of not enjoying how you look, being 20 pounds overweight, not having any muscle mass, not having any confidence, not being able to look into the mirror and be fulfilled and enjoy what you see, right? A scarce lifestyle, a scarce mindset, right? You can understand the emotions of the person you were in the past with those. Then you use both of those to dictate your emotions today, and then you figure out the best course of action in terms of how you can close those gaps and become the best version of yourself. So with who you are today, it's really relevant to understand, like, okay, what emotions are you going through? And this is where we're not going to go on a long tangent of like morning routines and nighttime routines and like journaling or reading books, like, self-help, self-expressive activities, Those are all things that are going to help you understand who you are today, because you got to do things every day. You just can't exist on this planet. You have to do things every day that make you feel different things to understand where you want to go. And a prime example, going to the gym, you start to feel good. Start going to the gym more, meaning don't give it up, period. You hang with some friends and they give you positive affirmations. You start feeling good. There's no malicious intent. You're not doing anything crazy. Everyone's aligning and it's an abundant friendship. Double down. Hang with them more. Start cutting out people that don't give you those feelings. Those are revelations that you need to understand. Things like that for you so you know who you are today. But the second version of yourself of who you were in the past, this version of yourself is when you just got to understand what you've been. What are your previous journeys that you've been on? What experiences and traumas have you been through? Like, have you been through bad breakups? Were your parents divorced? Did you grow up without parents? Were you overweight? Were you skinny, quote unquote? Were you fat, quote unquote? Were you what's your story? And what do you want your story to be? You can use a cheesy quote and saying, you write the rest of your history. You write your own chapters after you understand you hold the pen. So it's like, who were you in the past? Because, and there's an easy analogy I like to say with the past one is because, especially me, I related to my car accident and gaining so much knowledge with the movements of the body and like activation of certain muscles and stability and mobility and understanding those avenues of training. I got experience through the car accident, and I always attest that to experience. And like I always test it to this analogy that I use is when you're trying to get a new job, there's only two things to ask for: is education or experience, right? So there's either education, you have the education when you learn how to do something, or you have the experience of doing something. So this is no different within the past, right? You're looking back and like, what do you have experience with in terms of your traumas to help dictate who you are today? And those are all the things that you got to understand about your story of who you were, right? Because those emotions, not that you want to embrace them and put salt on the wound, if you will, but it's like you want to understand those filters of yourself and understand why you're doing what you're doing. Prime example for me is I always will identify as the quote-unquote chubbier kid that played Call of Duty his whole life, because yes, I have veins, I'm low body fat percentage, I got a man bun, whatever status of like people like with the podcast and interviewing people and whatever it is. It's like I'm very grateful for all those things, but I never want to forget about my past and why I'm doing what I'm doing. Not to soak in on the wounds, but to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. So when you know who you were in the past, the second version of yourself, you're really able to gain an understanding of, okay, who am I today? And then who was I in the past? And then that's an easy one too. If we go back to like the self-expressive activities like journaling, things like that, you'll be able to connect and make a direct correlation between those two versions of yourself, because you'll have physical evidence, you'll have physical proof. You'll remember those moments of waking up and be like, oh my god, I can't even get the fuck up at 5 a.m. to all of a sudden you're getting up at fucking 4:30, and then you're like not even realizing and praising yourself for the good job of getting up earlier. Or maybe journaling was a bad thing for you and you couldn't get in the routine, or going to the gym, or eating healthy, or counting your macros. Name the list, whatever X story yours is. It's like, look back and like, hey, look, you are making progress. Which leads me into my third avenue of it, which is who you want to become, which is the most important avenue of the entire 3 versions of yourself. Because going back to what I was saying about your wildest dreams can be met in terms of your life can be as abundant as you want it on any scale that's realistic, like why I explain the asterisks, is because I truly do believe that whatever you believe you have in your mind that you can think of that is realistic on this planet, that you've seen, whether it's like in person or on social media within reason, that you can get it as long as you're willing to commit to these 3 versions of yourself in the plan and to allocate the time that's going to get set goal. When it comes to who you want to become, this is honestly one of the easier ones for you because it came to you naturally, or it's one of the hardest things that's going to be, or the three versions of yourself to understand. And I find the people that this comes naturally to them, like they kind of know who they are in this life, they know what they want to do. Usually it's they don't know who they are today, or they have trouble accepting the past. Those are the versions of themselves they have trouble with, right? But when you're having trouble knowing who you want to become, I find it's usually the other two you're pretty strong with. You know what you've done in the past, and like you're very aware of the traumas because you're soaking in them a little bit, and then you're kind of aware of who you are today. So it's almost like you've created a half version of yourself that you need to be, but you know you're capable of a lot more. So who you want to become is honestly one of the hardest ones, in my opinion, because it was for me. It took me a long time to get into coaching and really going full tilt, and even me doing this podcast, right? It took me a long time to get into the position to feel this confidence and grow and do these things, right? So when it comes to who you want to become, one of the biggest recommendations for this one, if you are struggling with it, is to find someone that is doing exactly that you want to do in a non-cheesy way or a copycat way. It's like just really like put your ego aside, your pride aside, and find someone that you're like, damn, like your lifestyle that you live, the cars you drive, the house you live in, the way you talk, like the way I see your relationship, the way I see you in the gym, the way I see your body. And it doesn't break it down to the specifics. Like say you have 10 celebrities that you like to watch. You like to watch your favorite, like whatever it is, your movie crushes, your favorite artists, whoever it is, and you're like, I like this person's arms, this person's legs, this person's car, this person's house, I like the way this person's relationship is. Like you get to build your life whichever way you want. But the reason why I'm explaining it in this manner is because once you know who you want to become, the only thing that you need to do is to find the paths that lead you in that direction. Prime example for me with online coaching, the day that I got started into it was technically Team Lifts. I'm a head coach on Team Lifts coaching team, and 2 years ago when I started coaching fitness, I've always coached mental health and mindset, but when I started to get into fitness coaching, it was started with the conversation from Team Lifts of should I invest of my life into this part. 2 years later, I'm a head coach on Team Lifts after having a conversation with someone on Team Lifts, to now I'm here doing a full tilt. So it's like, once I knew like this was okay, this is 2 years ago, that was the beginning of who I want to become. Since then, which is the recommendation, is I've invested into mentors, the same ones that Team Lifts went into, the same ones that people that recommended from Team Lifts. Like I still got recommended into one of the best mentorship programs I've been a part of, which is PT Domination, from one of the guys on Team Lifts that helped me, right? So it's like once I started getting into an alignment and surrounding myself with people that had the same ideas as, or like ideas bigger than mine, I should say, not the same ideas as me, because that's not what it is. Like it's about like just being even just around the type of stuff that I want, period. Like you say you want to go to, it's a stupid cheesy example, there's a house party you weren't invited to, you see them all bumping, enjoying themselves, having a good time. You just want to stand in the yard. Just let me stand in the corner of the yard. I won't bother nobody, but just let me stand here and soak up the energy. So at least on Monday when we go to school, I can talk about it. That's literally what it is. You got to find a group of people like that. And that's why I say put your ego down and your pride down, because you really have to understand it's going to embrace a lot of these emotions, which, again, if you know those emotions, the other two versions of yourself are going to help you allocate enough time through the day and balance these three versions to get closer every day to this version. And obviously, if you can't invest money and things like that, not saying I had money to invest, it was very hard. I was working around the clock, and it's a different story. And if you have any questions about stuff like that, because I grew up very poor, and I challenge anyone with any money. If you want it bad enough, you'll figure it out. Period. And I'm not going to go on a side tangent or rant. But if you don't have a lot of money or don't have those type of capabilities in your life, then we literally have YouTube. We literally have Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is. Find somebody that you aspire to be, that like, and put your ego aside, put your pride aside. Like if someone looks better than you, like fuck, I want to look like that. Boom. The life they have, the life they have down to a T, if that's what you want, boom. But then you just gotta really watch what they say with a fine toothpick, or whatever that saying is like a fine picked comb, and really see, okay, what do they realistically do? The people that I aspire to be like and live the free financial life, and it's not about money, it's about impact, right? Having the financial impact to spark change for generations to come. And it's like they work 14, 16 hours a day. So what did I start doing? Working 14, 16 hours a day, burning myself out, learning about it, figuring it out, getting better, understanding those emotions of what it means and what I need to do to get to the person I want to become, by always balancing who I am today with what I've been through in the past, and understanding the emotions that are going to take me to that level that I want. So I could rant about all three of these versions forever, to be honest, because it's like I said, it's a big core part of my program, what I help people do every day. And I mean, even if they don't even know, I help them with it. That's the versions of them, right? I'm helping them figure that out on a different scale. And it's so funny because I know a lot of my clients, shout you guys out for listening to these, but there's just a big method of the madness. I lose sleep over everybody because it's like I gotta fucking get them to success. You know, it just is what it is. But I can rant about all three versions of yourself all day long, because realistically, the crazy thing about life is it's your most abundant version, your best version, the best day of your life is just around the corner. It just is all about understanding who you are today, how you operate, your emotional state, being honest with where you're at in life financially, your career, your relationship, all these things. Understanding who you were in the past, understand, okay, what is going to dictate the routes that I take in certain avenues. Do I get mad easy? Do I get depressed and shut down? Do I get overwhelmed? Do I have anxiety? Whatever it is, do I have no support? Do I need support? Like all these different things about in the past. Understand your deficiencies, understand your strong parts. That's going to help you mold who you are today, and then use today to mold who you need to become tomorrow, because you know who you need to become tomorrow. High aspirations means you got to do things you've never done to get a place you've never been. So you got to understand, you got to be durable during the embracing emotions part of becoming the person you want to become. And then you cycle through all three of those. Is it overwhelming? Fuck yes it is. But is it worth it? Even more. And the best thing I've ever done was to go tenfold on all three versions of these avenues of myself to become the ultimate version of myself. And as I'm speaking this podcast to you, as you're listening, I'm still juggling these three versions of myself every single day. And as I get my goals and my aspirations and my things in life that I want, they keep getting bigger, because the crazy thing about it is that you're way more powerful than you'll ever fucking know. And that's why I want to break it down so simple to say, if you can commit to the length of time that it's going to take for any goal, and I mean that, any goal, then you will become successful. I joke with some people and say, if you want to become an astronaut, straight up I believe you, until I see that you're just simply not willing to go through the work that it is to get into the educational and right side of universities in that system, to take the duration of university level courses to get an opportunity to do it. Because anyone could do it, you know, and I know that's a simple analogy, but it is what it is. Anything you want to do in your life, gain muscle, lose fat, change your life, get a better relationship in any way, shape, or form, whether it's with somebody else or with yourself or whatever, it can be as great as you want it to be. You just simply have to commit relentlessly and never give up. So that's my spiel on the three versions of yourself that you need to understand. I appreciate you as always for listening to my rambles and my rants. And let's have a fucking banger of a week. Let's go.
On my side, I don't know anymore. Cause it's more than a battle, we going to war. And losing again, I just cannot afford. I think it's my time to go even the score. What you see on the surface attached to my core. I'm stacking my paper, but feeling for more. One hell of a ride, but I'm staying on board. And now it makes sense what the suffering was for. Cause I got out my head and I got in my bag. No time to be crying, there's money to make.